I think you've already started talking a little bit about the storytelling, but let's push that a little further. Um, First, tell me about storytelling in a song, and then we'll come back to a separate question that I have. But first, tell me about storytelling in a song.
Well, I think one of the big influences I had way back was Tom Waits. I fell in love with his storytelling. He just, I mean, so much color and so much visual that conjures up when you hear his lyrics. Personally, I've always loved lyrics that do tell a story and that have a sort of a not just a love lost or whatever. It's kind of like hope and dreams and this and that. It has an arc to it and a trajectory and a punchline. Something that's more. I don't know how to describe it, but I guess has more intention to the more connection to a human aspect than just a repetitive you know chant that we can dance to and repeat.
Yeah,
So
I follow what you're
yeah.
saying.
So I mean, any of the songs that I used to write little snippet songs, like little 1.5 minute pieces, and when I was just playing around in my studio, and I would record something, and I would put a mini album together with 7 or 8 of these things, and I'd stick it on my wife's iPod at the time when she was going on business travel. I'd say, "Oh, listen to your third album," and she'd get a good laugh out of it because it was just a lot of it was just kind of fun, but it was mostly poking fun at her phobia of spiders and stuff like that.
You must have some good fun songs then in your repertoire that are like a little funny, a little have a little bit of your personal connection in there.
A little bit, yeah. I don't. I mean, I haven't listened to most of those for quite some time, but I'm not gonna go there because they're too personal. They're all about my wife and the color of her hair, the the spider on the wall, or something
Well,
that's.
I was going to ask you to look into this camera and tell us where you can find some of your music.
Uh, the only place that I've actually published my music is on my YouTube channel. I have a channel called World Travels. So my wife has been amazing. When I first met her, I'd never been to Europe.
Hmm.
Since I met her, we've been back to Europe probably at least once a year, sometimes twice a year for quite some time. And so I do videotapes. I do video compositions of our travels there. So on YouTube, if you search Vince LaRue World Travels, you'll see 8 or 9 videos that have my original music on them.
Tell me a little bit more about we've done the storytelling in the song, but the storytelling to the people and getting the songs in front of people. Tell me a little bit about how you market your music and what has worked for you and what hasn't worked for you.
Well, yeah, as I said, I was confused at a young age as to whether or not I wanted to go down this road of commercial success. I always wanted the fortune, but not the fame. So I decided young, not going to go there. But there was a time when I did endeavor to look into and start dabbling in doing scoring for film. And I managed to get an interview, a meeting with a film producing executive. And it was really interesting. I brought my demo tape, we were doing on cassette tapes back then. And I walked into his office and introduced myself. And he asked me one question. He said, "Where are you from?" I said, "North Bay." I said, "Hold on a sec." Took up his phone, dialed the number, asked the person on the phone if they knew me, handed me the phone. And then he sat down and I talked to this person on his phone who I went to high school with, who was a film director at the time. We made a connection and agreed that I would reach out to her and have a conversation and perhaps get involved. And so this executive had no intention of listening to my tape. He had no intention of really doing anything for me other than giving me the message that what I should be doing is connecting to other people in the industry, especially those that I know, and getting involved with them. And so this is why Superstars channel is so valuable, because you're doing just that. You're giving people a place to connect. We're connecting in the open mics, which of course I haven't been to yet, but I'm lately. I used to back in the 80s and 90s, but that's my intention, is to now get back into that. So from a marketing standpoint, no, I didn't go down that road. I didn't pursue success in my creative. I wanted to keep it as a creative outlet. I didn't pursue success in the music, so because I had a pretty good career in my own in digital marketing. So I think I invested where I felt I should, and used this as a hobby and more of an outlet.
You started talking a little bit about the scene in Toronto from back in the day. Tell me about the scene. Tell me what you remember. What were the highlights? Who did you enjoy listening to? Where did you enjoy going? What made the scene special in Toronto?
Oh man, it was, back in the 80s, we played all kinds of bars. So, and some of them don't exist anymore, I'm sure. I mean, Grossman's Tavern, Lee's Palace was the place that you would go to. You'd tell all your friends, "Hey, I'm come and see us Wednesday night. We go on at 11:30. We're going to play the same set we did last time." It just seemed like so much work, and and it didn't really have a lot of meaning at the time because it was just us going out and making noise and playing what we always play. But then there was other bars. Like I got into a band called the Bicycle Thieves. We played at a place called the Diamond Club, which I think is now um, the Phoenix, I think it's called. And that was a big deal, right? To play in that. We played above the Brunswick House at Albert's Hall. Again, big deal to play these places. I never played the El Macombo, but I went to see my brother play drums there in his band. He was in a band called Twitch, a rockabilly band back in the 70s. And man, they played there dozens of times. So all these old places, there was the vibe. Oh, the El Macombo where the Stones played. Oh wow, a lot of these bars were um, on the weekend. If you could get the main act on the weekend was really the way to go. But there were so many bands around, and there was influences. There was hard rock and heavy metal coming in. There was punk still around. There was rockabilly, country, not so much in downtown. But I mean, we had quite a scene. A lot of interesting characters down on Queen Street West, Horseshoe, and in that area, the Cameron and whatnot. I mean, we're talking with their hair done up and the whole shebang, and these were,
You must have stories from back then.
it's all a blur. The 90s, it's all a blur. 80s and 90s. But yeah, lots of stories and lots of good times. But I just remember connecting with so many people and having such a great time out playing and or listening. It's almost as fun listening, like as it was playing. And every once in a while, I'd connect with somebody from high school. The guy was it 13 Engines, I think it was called, was the name of the band. I'd go see them, and my friend would want to borrow my keyboard, so I'd bring it along and that kind of stuff. But it was a real community. And a lot of people. It was a large community though. There were lots of people. And today I'm meeting people that were in that community that I didn't even know back then, and say, "Oh yeah, we played Lee's Palace every third week, and we probably played some of the same nights together." So the vibe was really heavy. It was not heavy. It was a light vibe. It was a buzz. And it was really quite fun in the day. So I kind of miss that, and this is why I'm kind of romancing the idea. Want to get out to some open mics with you, my friend, and jam, because I although I do have that Wednesday night outlet with my garage band, I want to get out and play with some other folks as well, and it's always interesting to play with people that you've never played with before on stage. So
Which would be like if you were to walk into an open mic today and give somebody advice on how the scene should be and how they should approach the scene to try and bring that feeling of community that you had, what would you say today to the local scene?
man, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it happen on the WhatsApp, on the Superstars WhatsApp, because people are, they're embracing one another. There's collaboration I'm seeing. So I don't think there's any advice that I can give that isn't already happening, but I'm seeing engagement, collaboration, constructive criticism, support, people going to other people's shows and that sort of thing, and promoting other people's shows by word of mouth and passing links along. I think the technology of communications technology that we have today is so far superior than what we had back then. I mean, you'd have to pick up the phone and Dial? No, it was like this. It wasn't that long ago. It was this long. Pick up the phone and dial your friends and say, yeah, we're at Lee's Palace next Thursday. Can you come out and tell all your buddies? I think the collaboration and just engagement and stay in tune, because if you do have the aspiration to become a commercial success, I think that that's going to happen provided you serve the creative process appropriately, and that your focus is on being a conduit for that universal energy source, that imagination that comes through, and you translate into art, whether it's whatever, music, poets, whatever. But that's really the only advice I would say, is just keep at it. If you're serious about it, great. Or you might just be going to open mics because you're like me and you want to have an outlet where you can make some noise and de-stress as a meditative, more of a mental health type thing and physical thing. And of course, the human connection is always good for mental health as well. So depending on what your focus is, I think that's where you go.
I think one final question. You mentioned we've had a little bit of discussion around technology throughout this. Technology is changing very fast. There's new AI related, from like voice to drums to EQ coming through.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on what AI is? How does it play into music?
Yeah, I think AI is planning to take over the entire industry. It scares me because it can imitate very well. It can, I mean, it has a source based on all of human history to pull from, and it can imitate based on the inputs that are given to it. So, create me a song with lyrics about this that happens in that, and da 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 in the style of this and that, and it can output it. Now that can arguably be quite similar to the human transformation through imagination and through the creative process from ideas that come in, but it's not the same. This is an imitation. AI is imitating based on historical, and humans are actually creating and through imagination. I don't believe that imagination and AI processing are quite the same. They might appear to be similar, but they're not, in my opinion.
And also the mental health and spiritual benefit. The AI is not getting any mental health or spiritual benefits at the end of the day. Neither are you while using
That's
an
right.
AI.
That's true, but I think some people who may leverage the tool may gain some commercial success because of the level of superiority that the output that can be generated from AI. And that's scary. It's scary for me. It's scary for a lot of artists, and not just artists, people in all aspects and all walks of life and different careers have similar fears, right? And for me, in the 1980s when I bought that Atari 1040S, 6 months before that, I had always swore I'm an acoustic piano player. I'm never going to go digital. I'm never going to get into sequencing. It's all that electronic stuff. It's going to take over the world. AI is the next wave of that same thing, right? And I bought into the digital realm, but I still maintain the acoustic edge and the acoustic mastery, or I don't know, the acoustic capacity through the tenor saxophone, the alto saxophone, and acoustic instruments, which I think is really cool. Yeah, if you're just creating music with AI and you're not a musician, I think that's cheap.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting comment. On that note, any final thoughts for our audience?
And I think good luck to everybody who's out there. I look forward to meeting any of you in person who are on the Superstar channel. I haven't piped in much on only once, I think, on that channel, but I'm definitely up to speed on where the open mics are, and I look forward to jamming with some of you someday soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nabil. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.